Alright, so before we get started, first we want to talk about what are two-dimensional video games and how are they created, kind of? Yeah. And before we get started with that, I just want to apologize because my microphone is not the best microphone in the world. So, continuing on, two-dimensional video games are just two-dimensional computer graphics in a computer-based generation of digital images, mostly from two-dimensional models. Sorry. Um, the two-dimensional models, there's just like 2D geometric models, text, and digital images. Digital images such as just a dot. That could be a sprite for a video game. Honestly, wow, forgot about that. Honestly, we probably don't want to make a dot for our sprite, but yeah. So, I'm gonna just show you guys. We we're probably all familiar with. Sorry, we're probably all familiar with the two axes that we all use in algebra and science. The x and y axis, I almost said the z axis. The x and y axis are the axes that we use in algebra and science and in school. So we have the x axis, sorry, and the y axis. But when you're programming in 3D, you have another axis, and this is the z axis. And that's how we get our 3D look. So once we get this 3D look, that's our three-dimensional video games, and I'll go further on that on an actual three-dimensional video game tutorial. But no, we want to get rid of this third axis. We don't want this axis anywhere near us. So what we're going to do is we're going to somehow exempt the third axis by adding a two-dimensional sprite on top of one of the faces of the cube, and we're going to make it look like a two-dimensional video game, such as Angry Birds, an amazing game. So this is a scary thought. I'm gonna wing it, guys. I'm just gonna wing it. I'm gonna try to draw a really quick sprite on this plane and see where it takes me. Alright, that came out much better than I thought it would. And we just make this a bit bigger. And this is kind of what we're going to be doing. So, honestly, I'm not sure if I explained what two-dimensional video games are. So if you want to, you can just go over to Wikipedia, search it up. It's only a couple button presses and clicks away. I'm sorry, I am not the best at this, but I'm out to help beginners because I remember that when I first started programming, it was not great. So, I mean, even if you're not a beginner, you'll probably enjoy this tutorial, but I'm going to stop boring you to death, and we're going to get into sprite drawing and animation. So, yeah, see you in the next part of the video, which is going to slide in a couple of seconds. Alright guys, now we're back in GIMP. What we're going to do is we're going to go and set our settings for our image file. Our image file, when I'm creating sprites, I usually go 127 by 127. And we're just going to make a simple sprite for a simple video game, and also some simple obstacles. So, first you want to go up here, you want to create a couple of layers. Make sure that they're transparency layers. Press OK. I'm just going to make another one. Is that enough? No. I want about 3 layers. There's going to be the art layer. The layer above it is going to be the shadows layer. And the layer above that is going to be the highlight layer. So, after we get that, let's go down to the art layer and just start our art as a black silhouette. So I'm going to drag a circle. Oh, sorry, you didn't see that. go over here, click the circle, and just so you know, if you don't have GIMP already, it's free. You can go and download it at I think it's gimp.org or something like that. I got mine from FileHippo because I like searching through the older files, because sometimes I don't like the newer ones. But yeah, you can get yours from gimp.org. You can just Google it and they'll tell you the website. I'm sorry, I'm no help when it comes to that. So we're just going to fill in this circle as a black silhouette. So we're going to go over, get our paint bucket tool, and get the black paint. We're just going to fill it in with the black silhouette. So now that we have our basic shape, we can kind of think, what do we want it to look like? I already know what I want mine to look like, so you guys can pause this video and kind of think about it, but I don't want to record for too long with Hypercam, so I'm just going to go ahead and you're going to make a new layer above it, just so if you don't like the color, you don't have to keep it. I just created a color layer. So the color layer is going to be grayish. Sorry you can't see this. I'm going to pick a grayish color, maybe a bit brighter than that. And I'm going to go to my shadows layer. Shadows, you want to make sure that its mode is set to multiply. I think that's what I use for my shadows. And you want to go over and you want to use the airbrush tool. And you want to just pick a slightly darker color. Like you see right here, I picked a slightly darker gray. Sometimes you may want to go even a bit darker than that. And make sure you're always using a fuzzy brush. Fuzzy brushes are the ones that look like this. And fuzzy brush 19, I guess that one's okay. So I'm just gonna brush on some dark textures. Make it look a bit more like a video game. So now we have some darkish looking textures over here, but I want to kind of balance that out by adding a light little glare over here. So let's go up to our highlight area and we're going to set this to overlay. And we're going to go over to colors, and my default second color is white, so I'm just going to select white and start painting onto the sprite. The same brush, everything's still the same. And you see that we have this sphere looking thing. So now our sprite is kind of starting to look 3D. You could actually stop right here with your sprite, but I always have to go overboard and add some more stuff to my sprites just for the cuteness level. So I'm just gonna... Alright, so when you get done with your sprite, and here's my sprite, it looks awesome. I mean, look at its cute little glowy crystal eyes, and yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. You want to go over to your layers. You want to right click on any layer, and we're gonna move down a bit to where it says merge visible layers. But before we merge visible layers, I forgot one really important thing. Go down to the background layer and you want to make this invisible. That way it's not going to merge the background layer and ruin your sprite. So this checkered texture right here means that it's the alpha channel and that everything behind the sprite is invisible, which will make it actually look like a sprite when you import it into the video game engine. So after we do that, we're going to go to any of these sprites and we're going to move down to where it says merge visible layers. And we're going to go up here to where it says expand as necessary. We're just going to merge. And our sprite comes out beautifully and it's not merged with the background layer. So we can just delete the background layer. So here's our sprite, and now we're going to save it. Saving is very important because you want to make sure that when you save it as a .png, not a JPG, because a JPG cannot handle the alpha channels of the sprite. And I'm sorry I can't speak today, it's just, I don't know. You see I have a lot of sprites down here. I was creating my own Angry Birds game, which is kind of what we're going to be creating today. So I hope you all enjoy this. We're just going to name this sprite video test sprite .png, and then we're just going to save it. I think it's funny. I made the sprite after one of my original characters that you'll probably see in one of my newer games that I'm releasing. Alright, so that's the end of today's tutorial. Well, not today's tutorial, but the tutorial that is presently playing. I'm gonna plan on making